I think so many millennials are going no contact with, the older generation, with their parents, because the older generation didn't understand the role of a parent. I think they sort of got it confused with like being a dictator or being like God, I brought you in this world, I can take it out, I can make you do whatever I want because I gave you life, and that's not love. I notice how God rules, and like in my community, at least a lot of them are Christian, and they think that, look, that's what I have a right to do because I gave you life, I have a right to do whatever the heck I want to do to you. That is not what a relationship is, though. And I think so many parents forget that the connection you have with your child is a relationship. And a relationship is two human beings growing together and learning together, which means you have to give your child the chance to tell you who they are. One really great way to understand somebody is understanding their boundaries. Parents do not believe their children have a right to boundaries, especially boundaries that they don't feel they should have to respect. On the flip side, though, kids have a boundary problems with parents as well, because like they'll do small stuff like coming in the bathroom when you're using the bathroom, like shit like that. And while that may seem really, really small, what I don't think parents understand is this is a violation of each other's boundaries, okay? And while it may not look that bad when your child's a toddler and they're just walking in the bathroom, or if your child had a strong attachment to some scrabble piece of paper that you just can't throw away, that's your boundary, okay. As you get older, the boundaries change. But if you do not have a foundation of respecting each other's boundaries, it's going to be really hard to do that once you get older, which is really the problem why so many millennials are going no contact. I've told you not to do this. I've told you not to do this. I've told you to hold yourself accountable, and you continue to disrespect my boundaries. Well, I'm going to respect my boundaries, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. But a lot of parents respect their children's boundaries based off of how it makes them feel, as opposed to how it makes the child feel when they're respected. I don't think parents understand, just like with any relationship, it's all the little things. It's all the little things that you've done over all this time. It's not the big grandiose things that you want to say, well, I did this for you and I did this for you. It's the small ways that you kept disrespecting me and kept violating a boundary. But that's not love. Love is giving your child the space to be themselves while loving and accepting them unconditionally.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. My good name is Judy. So the Gen Zs and the millennials are going no contact with their parents. Let's talk about it. I think people tend to forget that kids are human beings too. Plus, our parents act like we are not going to remember their actions or sweep it under the rug. And personally, it also has to do with political differences. Millennial and Gen Z want the country to move forward, while the boomers seem to want to live in the past. This is the main problem that our parents have. Plus, if you have a slight tongue slip, they will always term you as a disrespectful person, regardless of your age, whether you are in your 40s or whether you are in your 30s. They don't want you to argue with them, and they act like they are always right. So I came across these clips that people are discussing the main reason as to why they are going no contact with their parents. Let's dive in.
You want to know what's crazy? After I went no contact with my mom and basically my entire family, I started receiving so many blessings. When I was still in contact with my mother and she was draining my life force, like literally draining my life force out throughout my whole life. And when I finally had enough and gathered some strength from I don't know where to leave that situation, my blessings started pouring in like that. All of my manifestations started coming to me in physical form just like that. And I'm sitting in my mother's crib, I'm sitting in my family crib, and it's just like nothing is happening for me. The stagnancy was crazy. The depression was crazy. The anxiety was crazy. And even though I'm sitting here planning my escape, planning all these things, I know there's a way out, I could not execute it while I was there. Like, when people say you cannot heal where you was hurt at, that shit is so real. Because I'm the most stubborn person on planet Earth. Nobody can tell me I can't do something somewhere. The fuck? I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the best of this situation. I know it's toxic. I know what I'm facing, but I can still do it while I'm here. No. I literally had to physically leave with nothing but my sanity, because I had to tell myself, you know what, when it comes down to it, what's really important? Like, I need to keep my mind. I can't lose my mind. I could lose everything else I have. I don't give a fuck about. But when it comes to my mind, I can't afford to lose my mind. Okay? And even under that, being under all of that spiritual warfare, living under my family roof, I realized I really just had to take a step out and just move by faith, not by sight. Move by my own faith. My own faith. Okay? But as soon as I literally cut these people out of my life, I kid you not, like, I always thought that only bad things could happen to me. Like, since I was little, I expect bad things to happen to me. And it's like throughout this journey, the past 2 years of me just trying to get myself together, get my life together, as soon as I cut off all of these people that wasn't even supposed to be in my life for this long. Are you kidding me? And it's just further confirmation that what I thought and what I was feeling while I was there was true. You know, I was thinking to myself, am I going crazy? Are these people, like, do these people really hate me that bad? Am I crazy? After I left, I realized, no, you're not crazy. These people want to see you do bad. These people have ill intention for you. And that's why you felt like, was my manifestations working? They were, but I needed to be in a different space to receive it, if that makes sense.
These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years. When I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. Or they would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma. And then even once the trauma is acknowledged, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret because I know everything that took place and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also does not have contact with my children. And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything. And that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them. I also didn't expect the fallout that would happen with other family members because of my decision to cut off my mom. There are family members that don't talk to me, mostly siblings, just because of the fact that I won't have a relationship with our mom. And that's okay too, because although we have the same mother, I do realize we had a different experience with her based on the amount of time that we spent around her. I'm just saying, if you meet a person and find out that they're no contact with their parents, please respect their decision. And keep in mind that it is always the parent's responsibility to mend that relationship. It's never the child's responsibility, no matter how old they are.
Now, I don't understand why some parents act so surprised when their kids go no contact, knowing damn well you treated that kid like a servant more than you treated them like a child. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing parents out there. But then there's a select group of parents that traumatize their kids, that never allowed their kids to speak, never created a safe space. And to be honest, you're one of the reasons why your child deals with so many different issues like anxiety, because you stressed that kid out. That kid never was allowed to be a kid because you forced them to grow up fast. Now, a lot of parents are going to say, I was young, I tried my best, I did everything I could. That still doesn't mean that you ever had the conversation where you apologize for all the wrongs that you did to your child. If you as a grown adult, 40, 50, 60 years old, still can't self-reflect and listen to your child vent about the things that they went through, and you're just going to dismiss their feelings, that's why they don't want to talk to your ass no more. I understand this might make some of you mad, but a lot of these kids don't ask to be here. You sat up there and had that child. You sat up there and brought that child into this world. Now, if you did it in an irresponsible way and or you had a child before you was ready, are you going to put that onto the kid? Or are you going to take responsibility for your actions? At the end of the day, a lot of kids would love to love their parents and have that relationship. But a lot of adults act like fucking kids.
And if you as a parent want to be a part of your adult children's lives, you have to show up the way they want you to show up. You no longer have, the power in the relationship. You can't hold their survival over their heads. Yeah, when we needed you to eat and live and to survive, of course we had to stick around and deal with your bullshit. But once we don't need you anymore, what's left is the relationship that y'all cultivated or lack thereof. And a lot of y'all have made beds that you now have to sleep in. And you don't like how it feels because there's a bunch of thumbtacks and nails and broken glass in those sheets. The same thumbtacks and nails and broken glass that were in our sheets when we were kids that we couldn't complain about because we would be disrespectful or talking back. Well, guess what? Now you have to lay in that bed and sleep in that bed and let those shards of glass slice your skin up while we heal our wounds from our childhood and we do the work that you refuse to do.
Hey guys, so it's been officially 1 year since I went no contact with my mom and my dad. And because this is how I started my platform, I wanted to give like one last update and kind of put this to rest because I've also decided to put that relationship to rest for good. And I'll kind of tell you guys how the interaction went and kind of what's led me to that decision. So one of my cousins got married in October, and so a lot of my family attended the wedding, and I anticipated seeing, some of my siblings and my parents. So I was informed that my dad was there like the week before, because the week before was when we did the traditional wedding, and then we do like an American wedding the next week, or sometimes it's a couple weeks in between, just depending on how they want to do it. But they decided to do like one weekend and then the next weekend. So not everybody could stay, of course, because not everybody can get 2 weeks off of work. But my mom decided to attend both. My dad went to the traditional wedding, but he didn't go to the American wedding, which is the one I went to. So I didn't see him. But regarding my dad, he's never tried to reach out to me. Like basically since I moved to Houston, which has been 3.5 years, going on 4 years, he's never tried to reach out to me. And like growing up, he was never really there anyway. So it hasn't really been like that much of a difference that he hasn't been reaching out. But I just think like it's the fact that we haven't talked in years and he's just never tried to reach out. So a big part of me is still like healing from that and is still upset with that. But the fact that he knew I was going to be at the wedding and still like didn't try to coordinate or like, hey, what day are you going to be there? Maybe I can be there at the same time so we can see each other. Like it just like solidified for me that there was no urgency or any need on his end to, reestablish a relationship with his youngest daughter. So I decided to finally accept that because like I said, I still had hope for that, but it's okay. So then with my mom, I did see her there because she stayed for both of the ceremonies. And when I first saw her, when you get like that feeling, like that pit in your stomach when something like, it's like, it was like nerves, but it was also like, I just had like a pit in my stomach because I didn't know like how the interaction was going to go. I didn't know like how she felt about me. And I didn't know if I even wanted to talk to her, but she is my mom. So of course, like I also missed her and stuff, but I also know what comes with having her in my space, So one of my uncles who I've never met before, I know who he is, but I've never met him before. He saw me and he stopped me and he just like introduced himself and I said, hey, how's it going? And he had the look in his face, which I immediately knew that like my mom had told him everything about our like relationship and, what has been going on. So he immediately jumps into that, like no buffer. He just was like so what's going on? Why aren't you like interacting with your mom? Why aren't you saying hi? And I was like, well, she saw me and she didn't say hi to me. Like, at the end of the day, I'm the child, you know. But when it comes to like African parents, they're just very, very, very hard-headed, very stubborn. So I knew that if there's ever going to be any like reconciliation, I'm going to be the one that's going to have to just like forgive everything and put everything on the back burner, sweep everything under the rug for us to ever have a relationship. And the fact that she saw me and refused to say hi to me first, just, I think that solidified my decision for me, because I just decided, like, obviously I'm not important enough, and obviously the love is not strong enough for you to, you know, put your pride to the side for 1 second to say hi to your daughter who you haven't seen in so long. So yeah, she refused to say hi to me. My uncle tried to facilitate. He tried to be like a mediator, and she just like wouldn't say anything unless I was the one who said it first. And I'm thinking, I'm the one with the grievances. Like, why are you now acting like, you know, you've been offended? So to conclude all of that, over the last 3.5 years, and especially the last year, I've really come to terms with my relationship with them. And, you know, I'm okay with what it is. Like, I've accepted that it's never gonna be what I wished it was, or what the little girl in me wished it was. And, you know, the fact that we were in the same space and they still weren't willing to get anywhere with me or try to have an understanding was all that I needed to know. And I think that just is going to help me move on even more in my life and in my future. So yeah, that is it. I think that's just going to be my last, you know, update on the situation. And yeah.
Welcome back, guys. So the Gen Zs and the millennials actually are not joking this time round. There is so much entitlement, and actually our parents should know that there is a difference between entitlement and knowing what you are entitled to. And that's something that so many older people don't get, you know, because when you start arguing with your parent, you will be the problem. They will not be the problem. Even if they did a very huge mistake, it's hard for them to accept that they did it. I don't know why it's some parents act like this, you know. And also, you get out what you put in. Unfortunately, a lot of boomers were absent parents, and now they're shocked to have absent kids. I see this is the main reason as to why a majority of the millennials and the Gen Zs decided to go no contact with their parents, because there is a comment I read that that lady said that immediately she walked out of her parents' house and got no contact with her parents, she started getting her blessings back. The blessings started pouring like never before, to mean that some parents can even close your blessings. You can be there struggling, asking yourself why some people are making it, the generation you are in are making it, and yet you are there, you're not making it. Maybe it's because of your parents who are doing this to you. And again, it's always interesting that they think it's a generational phenomenon and not them problem, you know. And I don't know why they are so much into this entitlement thing. Also, the older generation, they seem to like, they say that never happened. That never happened in our generation. They should know that we have different generation and the world is moving on. We are in a modern world. They claim to not remember the trauma they caused. You know, our parents went through a lot of depression during their time, and maybe they want the Gen Zs and the millennials to undergo whatever they undergone before. But the Gen Zs are so clever. The millennials are so clever. They will not do whatever the parents want, you know? And personally, it also has to do with political differences. The millennials and the Gen Zs, they want the country to move forward. But the boomers seem to want to live in the past, you know? If they can get this past life out of them and see the world as a new world, but not the world they were living before, you know, the world can be a better place. I know they are our parents, they nurtured us. But actually, there are some people who are not prepared how the future will be. Their parents never prepared them or educated them about the hardship of the future of adulthood, the hardship of adolescent stage. I'm speaking from the experience because when I got into the adolescent stage, I wasn't prepared at all. My parents never had time to teach me that, Judy, this is how adolescent stage is. This is how adulthood is. No one ever prepared me. But in Africa, people really value parents so much. Going no contact with your parents actually is not that much in African countries because they consider the fact that if your parent curse you, that's the end of it. But nowadays, we don't believe in those curses, So, guys, let me know in the comment section, are you still in contact with your parents as a Gen Z or as a millennial? And if you're not in contact with your parent, what made you to go no contact with their parent? Because I've seen a majority of people, they opting to go no contact with their parents so that their future can brighten up. Yes, our parents nurtured us, Actually, there are some people who want their parents so bad. But there are some people who are so grateful because their parents prepare them for everything. They have understanding parents. I didn't know that we have narcissist parents until I came across some of the comments. I was like, what? Then I must be grateful for my parents, even though there's something they didn't prepare me for. But actually, I had loving parents, I swear. So guys, if you love this kind of content, kindly give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't for more videos. I will honestly appreciate it. And also drop your thoughts in the comment section about this topic. Do you agree with the Gen Zs and the millennial going no contact?